So I played baseball starting when I was 4 years old. Obviously at that age, you're just having fun with it. My dad helped coach, and so, I was always tied into baseball with him. And I really didn't take it 100% serious or think it's like a possibility I'd play college or even let alone pro ball, obviously, until probably when I was like 16 years old. Right around that sophomore year is kind of when I started to get some interest from some schools, and kind of became real that I needed to work hard to get to the next level of college baseball. My goal was to always play Division I at that point when I was a sophomore, so I worked really hard to get there. It was hard because I did play basketball and football, so finding time for just baseball alone was hard. So it was just kind of season to season, all the way throughout high school, and then right around my junior year, before I committed, it was really hard. To say no to football more so than basketball. I played all three throughout my senior year of high school, but it was always either baseball or football that I was going to play at the next level. And there really wasn't like a clear-cut reason as to why I played baseball over football. From the side of like staying healthy, I guess, was one. That I didn't really want to beat up my body any more than it already was. So that was kind of one reason I played baseball. Another was because I was progressing pretty well at baseball at the time, a little more than football, I guess. I kind of was as good as I was going to be at the time for football. Where baseball, I was still like, I didn't know what my ceiling was going to be like or kind of where it was going to end up. So I wanted to find out more about that. So I committed my junior year of baseball and really started to take it serious, and that brought me to college, basically. It was hard. That's one of the reasons I didn't go to Mississippi to play baseball, was that I knew I'd be able to throw year-round from January all the way through November, the end of the fall there. That was one decision I had to make, and it definitely paid off. It was hard, yeah. Growing up, I was always, inside of a, 90-foot type of building, or maybe 120 if I was lucky to get my throwing in. So, really long toss into a net on those cold days. I remember so many games where, like, March and April up there were just freezing cold. You had to throw. I had a few games where I threw in the snow. I just remember there was one game where it was like 26 real feel or something like that, and a little bit of arm pain going through that year, on and off, just kind of messing things up mechanically. So I went to summer ball that year, and that's finally where my arm gave out of me. So I had to get Tommy John. So I was about to probably be cleared right around April, May of that year, but COVID hit in March, so that season was over. It was 2 full seasons, so it was weird. It was a reset period for sure. It was 24 months of no baseball, basically, competitive games, so getting that mindset back of facing a hitter and being comfortable out there and just kind of finding that routine was definitely hard at the time, but looking back, it changed my career. I did a complete 180 of where I was when I first started college to my first year of actually playing baseball there. I remember right when I tore my UCL, I wanted to make a change in my body completely. I got a lot stronger. I made really good connection with my strength coach. Me and him worked really well together coming through that, and I told him I knew I wanted to make a change and get better. So we worked really hard at that every single day for months and months. So give a lot of credit to him for that and the physical side of things. I worked with my pitching coach there. We made a bunch of changes mechanically, just kind of more so with the body, just feeling connected as opposed to, I had to control this big body. It was hard at the time when I wasn't as strong. So on top of getting in the weight room, getting stronger, and working with him mechanically, kind of started to come together. Velo started going up when I felt healthy, and so that was a big thing. Mentally though, obviously, Tommy John, it's a hard thing to go through, especially when COVID hit. It was even harder because I was ready to go in full action, but there was nothing going on, so I had to just throw on backfields and just keep the arm ready, not knowing what the next step was going to be. I was at my last month and a half of bullpen, so I needed radar guns. I didn't have a radar gun on me. I didn't know how hard I was throwing. I was fortunate enough where my roommate stayed down with me in Mississippi, and we threw together down there, and he caught my bullpens and stuff like that. We were both in the same boat of just not knowing what's next. So it was good to have him. We worked really hard during that time, so we kept each other busy and went from there. I think in October, it was October where I finally got that first inter squad. I think that summer we had a little bit of a summer ball type deal. I threw maybe by 6 or 7 innings, somewhere along those lines. now it's just kind of get my feet under me, getting competitive again, just trying to throw strikes and stuff like that. But when we finally started inter squads in October, that's kind of when it became more real. Like, all right, I'm actually getting ready for a season here, and it felt great. I'll never forget the first time I stepped out there and was feeling healthy, competitive. I mean, the results might not have been great at the time just because I was still a little bit rusty, but I mean, it was good getting back out there and getting ready for an actual season. Being a reliever is a different mindset than being a starter for sure. It's more like, come in, bases loaded, no outs, do your best type deal. But
go get them.
I mean, it was good. It really helps you build that side of pitching. I mean, I give a lot of credit to that too. It's like having knowing what the relieving mindset is while now being a starter, it makes it a lot easier. You're coming in with clean innings out every inning, and it's kind of up to you to get out of them on your own. So I've had a few times this year I've had base runners on, and I think kind of that reliever mindset comes into play, and which I've been used to over the years, which is good. That's something that's obviously helped me a lot this year. So I'd say the transition overall has been good. And I haven't had too many problems. I feel good being in that 6-day rotation, get my work in between the starts. This year I got drafted. I did a workout with the Mets, not far from Southern Miss. So I got in contact with them basically for the first time. Got to throw in front of them and talk to their front office team's scout that brought me there. And it was an awesome experience. I mean, it was great. And from then on, I really liked them. I mean, I knew that they were. Obviously had a really good big league program, but I've heard a lot about like the minor leagues and how they develop guys and stuff on that end. When they picked me, I was super pumped. I mean, I was so happy because I talked to a bunch of those guys, and I've heard nothing but great things from the Mets organization. So I knew they've had some big guys throughout there and some big names, obviously, that's gone through the system or they've got over there. So I knew I was in good hands. So yeah, when I got drafted in the 6th round, I mean, I felt like that's where I belonged. Maybe from the 6th round side of things, but I was super pumped that it was the Mets. It was kind of a plus. So I've developed some off speed that I didn't have before. Last year I was kind of relying on a changeup and an okay slider at times. It started to develop pretty well at the end of the year. That helped me out for sure, but early on I didn't have much of a slider. That was my main goal this offseason was I need to develop something that can get hitters out. I showed a few flashes of it in St. Lucie, but it wasn't as consistent as where I am now. Like right now I can throw it when I'm behind in counts, and I think that's just been the big thing is throwing pitches that hitters are not sitting on in hitters counts. So I think that's the one thing that I worked on a ton from all the way from when the season ended with St. Lucie all the way till now, and I think it's paid off for sure. Some guys here have a ton of college experience and now professional experience that's helped them along the way. But yeah, on the flip side, it is good to not have as much mileage on your arm, maybe, especially being from the north. I didn't throw a ton, throughout high school and summer ball and stuff like that. So over the years, yeah, it's been pretty good where I haven't put a ton of mileage on my arm, but I mean, I wish I did have a little bit more experience from the competitive side of things over the years because some guys do have an edge where they threw, 400 innings in college and were healthy all 4 years and stuff like that. But it is good overall that I haven't thrown as much on the arm. There's a ton of guys, especially over the years that I've watched. Early on when I didn't really have like an identity of, I'm a two-seam guy or slider guy. It was like Chris Sale, tall guy, Glasnow, guys like them. But now that I'm more like fine-tuned where I'm a sinker guy, slider guy, it's like, honestly, Ottavino's a big guy that I like to watch. I mean, I feel like I have a pretty good similar profile to him, so I watch a lot of video on him. Gratterall with the Dodgers, I watch him a lot with his sinker. Just guys like that throw heavy sinker, heavy slider. Those are guys that I just maybe watch more so now than often.